yet, not yet. Everybody, welcome to Four Deep Sports Talk. That was a good cue-in. I like that.
Hey,
Hi again, welcome to Four Deep Sports Talk. I'm Dominic Damiano, joined by Joe Dez. Catherine Conley, a.k.a. Casey, she's on the board. The sports master to my right, Justin Ferreira. And, of course, Luz Cabral, the paparazzi. You can see her on TV. We have the pleasure of having your 2021-22 Division II girls basketball state champions, the Lady Tigers from Oliver Ames High School, and my good friend Coach Holbrook, as she brings in Anna Murphy and Haley Bourne, right? I said that right. That's pretty good. And my chair's too tall. So, girls, first of all, I usually do this at the end of the show, but I know everybody from 1320 AM WARA and us at 4 Deep Sports Talk want to say congratulations. That was so cool. And when you guys were, I'm like, this is cool. I said, not only is the player of the year and the coach of the year coming in, they won the state championship. I'm like, I couldn't write a better script. But we got, one of the things we do is like, coach will tell you, we bounce around a little bit because, like I said, you guys will lead us in the next question. So I know these guys have a bunch of questions. So if you guys want to just fire away.
yeah, so Coach, I wanted to. Can you all hear me?
I can't because I don't get no headphones on.
Yeah, I can hear you, Casey.
Oh, okay. So what was your favorite memories of coaching 47 seasons with Oliver Ames?
That's a really difficult question because every season it's a different group. And there's so many things from each one of those groups that honestly, they're what the basis of all of Ames girls basketball is. So, of course, we're smiling right now because the most recent edition was 2022 state champions, and it's hard to pinpoint because every season it's so systematic in the sense that season ends, then you start building for the next season, and then you go through all the preseason, and then you go through the season stuff, and then that season ends, and it's just kind of it's like a cycle, but it's been a wonderful cycle.
Awesome. So do me a favor, just turn up the headphones a little bit. There you go. How's that? Is that better?
Yeah, now we're all good. Cannot hear out of the right eye for a second. Now we're all good.
Technical difficulty. Okay, young man.
Yeah. So my first question is, what are you guys thinking for the future? Do you think you're going to play basketball in college?
So personally, I decided not to do any college basketball because I really wanted to focus on what I was doing in the future, and I kind of just wanted to cherish these high school times because they were just so great, and I feel like sadly it's time that my basketball career is over. I will definitely be doing intramurals or the clubs, which we were just talking about outside, but yeah.
Oh, make sure you have the mic like close.
Yeah,
close
just
to
spin
you.
it right over because we want to hear your beautiful
Okay.
voice.
Yeah, but I personally probably will just stick to intramurals and club just because I don't want to make that big commitment again because this was so great and I wanted to keep it.
Yeah, I'm like the same as her. I chose not to play basketball in college, but I'm definitely going to do club or something. A lot of the schools that I'm going for, they're like all Division I schools, and the academics and the like Division I just doesn't work. I'm just going for academics more. And yeah, I also think that the past season is like the best way to end my basketball career. And I'm really excited to have a nice winter break and go skiing. I've been really want to go skiing.
That's
I've been
awesome.
skiing since I was like 3, and I'm so excited to do that next year.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I really don't think there's any better way to go out than state champions. That's basically the only way that you can go out besides I can't even list another alternative that would be better than that, I'm realizing. So, Coach, I wanted to ask you real quick. I realized last year you won basically the most winningest coach for women's basketball in Massachusetts history. I kind of want to ask you, do you get like a new plaque every single win that you get now because you're just moving
That's a
that
great
record
question.
one more farther?
That's awesome. That's
Yeah,
a great
you got to
question.
want her a little bit.
Exactly.
No, but when I broke the record in 2016,
Yeah.
one of the parents of one of my players worked in a hardware store, so he built a nice plaque with the number 634 because
That's
the record was
awesome.
633, and so he used numbers that you would put on the front of someone's house. And 634, and on the back, to me, was the best part of it because all my players signed the back of it, you know. So that was
Oh, that's
just
really cool.
incredibly
Wow.
meaningful because it was so personalized.
Yeah.
But for me, it's not about me. It's about them,
Yeah.
and the fact that over the course of the last 2 years, because of the pandemic,
Yeah.
they got shortchanged last year. So we only played a schedule that was 10 games. So they only had half of a season. So to have them weather this storm and to be able to manage all the protocol because of COVID, you know, we had to have seating charts on the bus. We had to have seating charts on the bench. We had to have the seats spread 6 feet apart. We had people where, you know, you're trying to communicate to them in a timeout, and the other coach can hear you because you really had to scream in order to communicate. And to go from that to this has been absolutely extraordinary because they were so resilient last year, and I think that helped us to build back better, and I couldn't have thought of a better way for these kids to finish.
Yeah, you guys only got half a season last year. You guys got 1.5 seasons this year because of that postseason run.
Yeah.
You guys just fixed it now. You're all equalized.
Yeah, well, we're about 5 or 6 games short, but I'm not
Oh,
counting.
okay.
So, coaching as long as you have, When did you feel like this was going to be a special team? I mean, all your teams are special, no matter what the final outcome is in the year. That's just the way your mentality is. But this team this year, when did you feel like they were gelling and they were clicking?
Well, I had a number of conversations with them over the course of the season, and I mentioned that on 3 separate occasions. And I said to them that I really feel like there's something really special in this room. And I didn't elaborate on it. I didn't get into specifics, but I said it to them on 3 separate occasions. And they knew what I was articulating, but I didn't get into any detail. And I wanted them to have ownership in that. So I felt like if I were to say that to them, to tell them that would give them the kind of confidence that they knew that I believed in them and that they were going to take this and they were going to run with it. And that's exactly what they did.
Absolutely. What about you girls? When did you feel like, was it a certain game? Was it preseason? I mean, there had to be something where you felt like you guys were already clicking and you felt like, oh my God, we could probably go on a real run here.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think it was how close the team got. Like, we just, like, loved each other. We were together constantly, and I just knew that we were just something different, something special. Like, it wasn't even, like, on the court, even off the court. Like, we just, like, communicated with each other so well, and I just knew that no matter what team, we could pull it off and we could win from the determination. Like, going into the championship with the 3rd seed being the underdog against a team, Norwood, who was previously unbeaten, you would think that we'd go into it like scared and nervous, but I knew that based off of our determination from day one and how well we communicated, how much we loved each other, I knew we could definitely pull it off.
Yeah, for me, it's kind of the same thing. However, I felt like when we first gelled was the end of the season last year, which was kind of different because I just remember we all the people who could drive got into like 2 different cars and we all went around and just showed up at the underclassmen's houses and we're like, we're kidnapping you, like, get in the car, go.
That's awesome. Well, it's not awesome, it's against the law, but.
Oh, yeah. But yeah,
They didn't really kidnap
Yeah.
But we were just like, get in the car, like randomly, and it just felt so natural, even just from that beginning point, and we weren't even in season yet. So then I feel like building off of that, we just were constantly together. Like, whenever we showed up as a group, everyone was like, oh, the basketball team's here.
So building that momentum between all of you really sparked each other's intuition going into the next game and the next game. And that's something special. That's special moments there. I know, Coach, you have this mantra of, I saw it posted somewhere, of being a puzzle. You want to elaborate on that?
Well, it's a really good analogy because this particular group, they never made it about themselves, even though Haley's job was different than Anna's job. Anna's job was different than Pep's job. Pep's job was different than somebody else, Jasmine's job. So they understood that. I always say to them, share your gifts, use your gifts, make your minutes matter. And so as time progressed, and it honestly probably started last year. It wasn't this year, but make your minutes matter. It doesn't matter how many they are or how many you have. I said, don't get too big for your britches because we're a puzzle and everybody's puzzle's a different size. It's a different, maybe it has a couple, I don't even know what the word I use, like nubs or something. And when I said that, they all started laughing at me. But like every puzzle piece is shaped differently, and don't get your hair in a bun if your puzzle piece is a different size than one of your teammates. Just recognize the point that if we were to take any one of those puzzle pieces out, then it isn't going to look as good. And so that was just kind of something that came into my head at one point, so that they recognized that every single one of them mattered. It wasn't about like, oh, well, you can shoot the 3, oh, but you can't, or like, that's not what we were about. And the senior class in particular, they're like sisters. It's like a sisterhood, and they looked out for each other, and they did anything and everything that they could do to help us win, even if it wasn't game minutes.
Oh, wow. How close are we?
Just about 37 seconds.
All right, so we will get ready to step away. Make sure your main mic, the PC board's ready. Make sure that's up all the way.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, because there's no music playing, right? So get that up all the way so you can just fade out with the volume. All right, so we will step away. You can call back at 508-222-1320. We have the distinct pleasure of highlighting 2021-22 Division II Massachusetts girls basketball state champions, the Lady Tigers from Alva Rams High School. I'll say it right maybe 2 more times. We'll be back with them and more right after this.
Great job.
Super.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to 4 Deep Sports Talk here at 1320 AM WARA. And we have the Oliver Ames girls basketball team, the division champions. But before we ask any more questions, Tim, we actually have a caller on.
I can't hear the caller. Let me see. Hi, you're next on 4 Deep Sports Talk. Hello?
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 Hey, what's going on, 4D Sports Talk?
Yes, do you have a question for the girls?
Yeah, absolutely. So I wanted to ask, other than winning the state title this year, what's been their favorite memory in basketball?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I'd say my favorite memory this year was probably our last practice. We got to use our big speaker that we usually use for warming up in the gym, and we just blasted it and played. So the first few songs were kind of sad songs, so we knew it was our last practice, and everyone was just belting their heart out, and it was just really nice to see everyone come together. I know Coach loved it, and we switched up after that to some hype up music for the big game the next day. And I looked over, I saw Coach in the middle of the court, started breaking out some dance moves.
Did you video it?
Oh, God, no.
It was
Not
awesome,
pretty.
though. Yeah, that was probably my best memory. It was awesome.
Yeah, that was a really fun practice. I just remember being in the locker room before, too, and Coach walking in on us, screaming these songs, and there's, a video of us singing it, and it's just hilarious. But my favorite was probably the Christmas practice, the Christmas Eve practice right before. It's at 8 a.m. We have it every year, and it's always really hard to get up in the morning, but we all dress up as like little Christmas characters and play a bunch of Christmas songs. It's just a lot of fun. And then we always play football, which is my favorite part.
Well, thank you for the call, caller. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Happy to do it.
All right. Have a great day.
1 minute. All right. I'll see you.
All right. Bye-bye. That wasn't a bad call. Anybody want to call in? 508-222-1320. I know Justin has a couple other questions he wants to get in there.
I had a question. Did you guys practice like dressing up in the Christmas outfits?
Yeah, well, it depends on the costume. I every year would wrap myself, so I probably layers would come off as I practiced, and I would just throw them in the trash. But then, like, you would wear a onesie, and like you could practice in that, but it just got really hot sometimes.
Oh man, I bet.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
sometimes we would take the layers off.
What was it like practicing like that?
It was kind of hard sometimes because you had parts of your body that couldn't move like
Oh.
the same way as they would without the costumes. So.
All right, old man.
All right. My next question is, have you played any other sports besides basketball?
Yeah, actually, my freshman year, I played 3 varsity sports. I played volleyball and lacrosse other than basketball. And then sophomore year, I decided to quit volleyball because of my AAU season for basketball. It just collided too much. But I still play lacrosse now. I'm actually in season right now. And it was really weird because we had our championship game on Saturday night. And then we had Sunday, one day, and then Monday was started lacrosse tryouts.
Wow.
And so we had one full day of rest, and it was just so weird because the week before that, like, we were just like deeply into like the playoffs and whatever, and I was like, next week I'm just gonna have a completely different team, and that was just so weird to me. And I'm also captain of lacrosse too. And it was just crazy how we just had one day and then it was just over. But yeah, I love lacrosse too. And we're in season right now. We're doing pretty well. But yeah, it was just crazy having just one day off.
So you only saw your parents at the games, right? They probably thought you moved out.
Yeah.
Right? So pissy.
Did you say you were varsity for all 3 sports freshman year?
Yeah.
That's insane.
Wow.
Wow. That's
Hey, what else you got, old man?
Well, this one's probably going to sound easy, but what's been the best part of the season?
Honestly, this sounds like kind of obvious, but honestly the state championship, because it was just so cool to see the whole school coming out, like whether they were in high school or not, or like people I hadn't seen in years were coming to the game, like texting me, and I was like, oh my gosh, I was like, what is happening? It felt like we were famous, and it was just really cool. And I just remember being on the bench and looking up and seeing, I think it was either Haley or Jazz on the big screen. And I was like, wait, what? Like the Jumbotron. And I was like, what's going on? It was just really cool. Yeah, that was probably my favorite part.
My favorite part was probably the 2 videos we got from Shaq. I don't know if you guys heard about that.
No, you got Shaq made a video?
Yeah, so
No way.
One of our teammates, Sophia, her dad works for Reebok, and
Oh, that's
he's-
really cool.
Yeah, so he has a lot of connections with Shaq, and Shaq sent us a video before our championship game, saying like you guys are gonna win, like I believe in you guys, whatever. So that was obviously like insane. I was like.
That's
That
really
was just
cool.
crazy. And then after we won, he like made another video, and he was like, "You are the champion." And it was like, it really showed his character, and it was just crazy because it was like, you wouldn't expect like someone like that big and that famous. Like, we're such a small town.
Right.
Like, it was just, it put everything into perspective. It was just
That's really
crazy.
cool.
That is actually just so cool. That crazy that Shaq, an LA Laker legend, is actually sending you guys 2 videos. That's so cool. You gotta wonder though. He might have been looking up to Coach Holbrook. Obviously, she did technically coach the All-American McDonald's team a little bit ago. Might have been looking up to her, watched that game. I was like, wow, that coach is actually really professional. I want to meet that coach one day. Sending those videos, slowly building up that relationship.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I don't do social media, so I had to find it. Like, one of the kids sent it to me, and it's like you could tell it wasn't a polished video. You can tell he did that like in his house, probably at a
Like
ridiculous
raw.
time in the middle of the night, because
Right.
whatever. And it was just so funny because he made it kind of a song, and he challenged the coaching staff, he challenged the kids. And so just to have his voice be behind that was just really special for everybody. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, my next question was going to be what gave you guys that momentum to go against a team that had not lost in that season? I imagine the Shaq videos helped you guys, obviously. But I wanted to ask a little more deep. What was the main message going into that game against Norwood? Obviously, they were 24-0. You guys went into that game knowing they were undefeated. Was there really that thought in your mind, like, we're going to be the first team to beat this team? Or was there more of the thought, like, we're going to just play hard defense, hard offense, we're going to see how this game goes?
Well, we were really, I think our side of the bracket was the most challenging.
Yeah.
And we had some really hard-fought battles. And I think each one of those games, you could see personal growth in the kids. And I think it really elevated their confidence level because they saw that we could beat some of the best teams in the state. And so when it came time for the Norwood game, we had beaten Medfield the game prior to that in overtime, and that was the 3rd time we had played Medfield. And the second round, we had to play Foxborough. That was the 3rd time we had to play Foxborough. And so that kind of confidence from those games to get to the finals, and this is what I said to them at practice. I said, the pressure's on Norwood. They're 24-0. Then we just need to do what we need to do and do what has got us to this point. And that's exactly how the whole thing played out, really, because I think we led the game in all but one situation. I think it was a 28-28 tie at one point, but for the rest of the moments of the game, prior and after, we had a lead. It was small, but and I think, too, our free throw shooting in the 4th quarter was absolutely positively spot on. We were 17 for 19 from the foul line.
That's almost perfect.
All that pressure, and it was like, I always say to them, it's like real money. This is like real money. And it sure was, because they went ice in their veins.
Yeah, just right out.
So from a coaching point of view and a player's point of view, you had Olbrys. She was probably one of the best power forwards in the state.
Yep.
Then you had the Wren girls,
Yep,
right?
the Reens.
Girls, yeah, the Wren
Reens,
girls.
yep.
Then you had Costa, who came off the bench,
Yep.
who was unbelievable from the 3-point. What was your mindset trying to first, defend Olbrys, because you obviously had the talent to do it. They're sitting right in front of us,
These two in particular,
right?
because they were responsible, these two girls right here, for taking Aubrey out of her game. She had 21,
Yeah.
but when you look at the number, you say, well, geez, that's kind of a lot. But it was the way it was distributed and the way it was kind of spread out. We made her work for everything.
Yeah, because Whitman Hanson tried. I had the pleasure of calling that game.
Yep.
And she looked like they had like you guys, you had a strong bench, and it came down and they couldn't control her.
Mm-hmm.
She just, once she took off in the second half, it was her and then the Reen girls, and then the other girl, Costa, came off the bench. I was curious your mindset, and then you guys, what you thought about going into that game.
Well, the reason why we won the state championship was because we were the best defensive team, I think, in the state tournament. So the question, when you looked at our points against average, we were giving up less than 30 points a game, and we were scoring 60-something. And that held true for the majority of the season. And I just felt like that's what got us here, and that's what kept us here. And this is what's going to be the reason why we take home the trophy.
Nice.
And it was exactly that. It was our defense.
Now, what about you girls going in? You knew, we probably looked at the film, right, prior to going to the state championship game. So you're doing the Reen girls, Aubrey, you knew Costa could come off the bench. And, again, what was from the player's point of view, what was your mindset going in?
I just told the girls, we really had nothing to lose. and it was like the whole mindset, like defense wins championships.
Right.
That obviously was proved true. And the few practices before that, we actually had like 5 boys from our
that's pretty smart.
boys
That's really
basketball,
clever.
like OA
Right.
basketball team. And so we just like played defense on them for like the whole week. And obviously they're a lot stronger and bigger. So it really like matched up with who we were going to be playing against. And
Yep.
I think that really helped a lot.
So you embarrassed a bunch of boys in the basketball court, is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, we actually did scrimmage them and we did beat them a lot of times. It
yeah.
was like,
What about you, young lady?
Yeah, so our mindset, I feel like seniors-wise was, I don't know if this was you too, but I just felt like it was similar to when we were freshmen playing Franklin, because there was Allie Brigham on the team at the time who was like 6'4", yeah, 6'4", who ended up going to George Washington and like Penn State to play, which is crazy. But she was so tall, the great physical player, and which is very similar to Meg Olbreeze. And I feel like it was kind of like deja vu, and it was something we had seen before, which kind of had a little comfort around it.
Nice.
So I feel like that was my mindset going into it, and just, yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to take our second break. You are listening to 4 Deep Sports Talk here on the news station. 1320 AM WARA, and the girls are online via our website, all one word again, 4deepsportstalk.com. Just hit the watch us live in studio. We have the privilege of highlighting the 2021-22 Division II girls basketball state champions, the Lady Tigers from Oliver Ames High School. We'll be back with them and more right after this.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to 4 Deep Sports Talk, and we are here with this Division II state champs, Oliver Ames girls basketball. And now, my next question is there any playing sports-wise? Is there anything that you would want to get better at?
Probably just my main thing that I wanted to get better at was probably my ball handling, because I always wasn't the best at it, because I think it was just pressure wise it would kind of come up quick, and then my ball handling would result in bad, it just wouldn't end well. So my thing was probably dribbling when I needed to, and just figuring out when I needed to dribble and when I didn't. I think I got better at that point later in the season, but it took a little bit to figure that out.
Mine would definitely be having fun. I know
within
it's
10
like
and 20?
not like really like a skill,
Are
but
they
it's
within
very
10 and
important
20
because
when they
in
speak?
previous years, I like put a lot of pressure on myself, and it kind of took the fun away from it a little bit, and that kind of like showed with my playing. But this season was definitely, I think I got a lot better at that, and I had so much fun, and having fun just like made me play better, and I kind of just realized that you need to have fun to play well, and I want to keep getting better at that.
Yeah, I'm actually really happy you mentioned that because obviously putting pressure on yourself is needed to improve. But once you start putting too much pressure on yourself, you start just losing the love for the game and actually enjoying the time in there. You don't have a clear conscience anymore when you're playing the game. You'll have a cloudy mind. You can't really focus on it. When you're actually happy with what you're doing, just relaxing and enjoying it, you get in that groove where you can just score as much as you want, defend as good as you can. That is the best way to do it. You can't be putting too much pressure on yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, no, Coach Holbrook, I wanted to mention to you, every single question that you've answered so far, I have slowly learned why you're such a great coach. You look at things from such a different perspective than a lot of people do. You mentioned, obviously, the puzzle thing earlier, where your team fits in each other like a puzzle. Then we were talking earlier, they mentioned that you brought up 5 different boys to practice against them before a game. What are the coaches doing that? They're just having the scrimmage gone between their practice. You obviously thought ahead. You had 5 boys come in who would be similar to the opposing team. They guarded them. Obviously, it showed in the game. Really helped them for that entire week. And now you guys are state champions, obviously.
Oh, we got another caller. Hello, caller. You are next to appear on 4 Deep Sports Talk. Who am I speaking with?
You're speaking with Mike in East Bridgewater. How's it going?
Okay. Tommy. Does he have a question?
Do you have a question?
Absolutely. Yeah, so obviously I know these girls have played for, a fantastic basketball coach. I wanted to ask, what do they think, stands out about her and her coaching style that's allowed her to have such a great career?
Yeah, so it's kind of funny because she actually coached my mom too.
Oh!
Like 30 years ago.
That was just yesterday.
So I've known her for a while, and I think it's just like the connections that she makes with her players is just amazing. Like, we just all love each other, and she's like family, and we all like think of her as like a grandmother, as a mother.
Took it back.
We all know that we could like call her and text her anytime, and it's so cute because every little text that she sends us always has a heart at the end. And it's just those connections that she builds really helps the team camaraderie.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that.
Yeah, I would probably say similar to what Haley said, connections, because I just remember being in like 8th grade. We were little babies, and Coach came to one of our practices for middle school, and we were all like, oh my God, she's here. We were so nervous. And then once she got there, she was just so good at like working one-on-one with us and really just talking to all of us, not like individuals and stuff, but and then going into freshman year, it continued. Like, we would, if we had a problem, we could easily just go up to her and ask, and it was just easy. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. All right, Coach, I have a question for you. You're not surprised. So, the next boys or girls basketball coach that want to be the next Lenny Holbrook, what have you learned, or what could you pass on?
Well, you have to recognize that these are young adults and that they're not going to be perfect. It's important that you get them to understand that everybody has a gift, and you need to develop that gift to a point where you're willing to give that gift for each other. I mean, that's the bottom line. It's like, like for Murph and for Haley, for example, they bring 2 different things to the table, but the idea was that those combinations of those gifts that they were willing to give made us all better. And so It's always been kind of, the mindset. It's like, I always say to them, make your minutes matter. And it's always for the good of the group. And it's always pay it forward.
There you go.
Those are kind of the things that I use as my, foundation to try to get them to understand the importance of doing that. And this group it's hard to describe how every single one of these girls bought in.
Right. Now, you've seen so many different opponents through your whole career. What's the biggest mistake you see coaches take for granted that they probably don't pay attention to, especially during game day?
It comes down to preparation. Just to go back to the question where you had asked about the boys. We struggled this year with injuries. We struggled with sickness. I mean, there were weeks that we had 7 players that could play. And when it got towards the end of the season...
7 players?
7 players. So we couldn't even go 5-on-5.
Wow.
So over Christmas break, Kayla Raymond, who played for Oliver Ames, who plays at Stonehill, so she was off, so she came to practice. She brought one of her friends to practice. So it's just kind of this thing that everybody understands, that when you're a part of this program, it's not about you, it's about looking up at those banners on the wall, and they all understand, because I say this to them all the time. I said, you're playing for something bigger than yourself. And they know it. And now the best part of it's going to be when other people walk into that gym,
right,
and they see the 2022 Davenport banner.
Yeah.
They see the 2022 state championship banner.
Right.
Now these young kids come in, and when we point to those and say, you're playing for them now, you're not playing for yourself. So they really embodied that.
Wow, it's almost like you had a walking mash unit, for crying out loud.
Well, it was really hard, and like our 2 previous state championships too, we brought boys in to practice.
Yeah.
So the group this year, they were members of the boys varsity, and they had won the first round, and then they lost in the second round. And I was familiar with the 2 captains, and we had a meeting and asked them if they would be willing to donate their time, and it would help us because we were, we didn't have the numbers, and they're bigger, faster, stronger. And I said to them, this isn't about you. This is about us. I said, you need to turn the volume down a little bit because I don't want anybody to get hurt.
Right.
Every single practice that they came to for us, we taught them who our opponent's offenses, what they were going to do defensively, what their presses were, what their out-of-bounds plays were. So it gave us a chance to have a full complement of healthy players compete against them. In every single game, they brought more people to the games, and it brought the entire school as well as the town of Easton together in a way that hasn't happened because of the pandemic. And honestly, that too, in conjunction with us being state champions, like these seniors finally got some sense of normalcy in school, outside of school, when they go to the supermarket, when they go to the Dunks to get a coffee.
That's
people
cool.
know who they are.
That's
and
awesome.
They recognize them. And that, to me, that's when you know you did it right.
Right. So you 2 girls, who did you look up to coming up as your freshman and sophomore year? What players on her staff that were seniors or maybe even sophomores at the time that maybe instilled you to be a better player? Anybody come to mind? We'll give, so then now they get free shout-outs.
Well, I remember in middle school, I went to a lot of the games, and Kayla Raymond definitely stands out. She was just all around a great player. And it wasn't even just like her skills. It was also, you could tell that she was such a great leader and a great person. You could just tell that everyone loved her, and I looked up to her so much. She was just, she just was awesome.
Yeah, I would have to point out 2 people, like, as one, because they were just a power duo, and I'd say Jess Ehrlich and Caroline Flynn, even though they were only a year above us. But I would say when I came freshman year, we were all so nervous. We were like, what is this? There were so many little traditions we didn't know, and, like, Jess would always, like, be like, oh, do this, like, when we would squeeze hands and during the national anthem, like, that's one of our rituals, and I didn't really know. So she would always, like, make sure to include us in on all those, like, little quirks that we do before games. And then, like, Carol just was such a good player, like, all around, and I just really wanted to embody that, like, as, like, playing with her. I was like, dang, she's so good. And I would just be like, I just wanted to achieve exactly what she did. And yeah.
And I don't want to say, I just wanted to kind of segue on what Murph was just talking about, because we felt so badly for those girls,
Yeah.
for Kelsey Yell, Caroline Flynn, and Jess Ehrlich, because last year their season was cut short. We only had 10 games. And if we had had a state tournament, though, I think that we would have gone deep into the tournament. And the fact that those 3 players missed their chance, and these girls gave them a shout out to say that we're not just playing for us this year, we're playing for those 3 seniors who didn't get a chance to do it. That just lends itself to the character of these girls.
Absolutely.
It's amazing to me.
Yeah, but they had good leadership, too. She's a very humble person. She always has been. All right, so we'll step away our last break. You can call in when we come back at 508-222-1320. Did I say that right? Yeah, 1320. Yeah. Finally got it right. We are highlighting the 2021-22 Division II Girls Basketball Massachusetts State Champions, the Lady Tigers from Oliver Ames High School, and Coach Holbrook. We'll be back with them and more as we wrap up this hour of 4 Deep Sports Talk.
I should show you that text from Jesse just the other day.
Hey everybody, welcome back to 4 Deep Sports Talk here on the news station, 1320 AM WARA. I'm sorry about that, I have a big mouth. We are highlighting the 2021-22 Division II girls basketball team from Whitman, she almost said Whitman Hanson, Oliver Ames High School. I don't know why I just said that, you know why, because I'm looking at it right now. But with that being said, here are your winners from Friday night. We'll run down the different sports. Are you ready to go?
Yep.
All right, in baseball, your winners were Natick, Milton, Bridgewater, Arena, Martha's Vineyard, Franklin, Taunton, Old Colony, Situate, Wayland, Abington, Hull, and Holliston. Boys lacrosse, Silver Lake, Milton, Monomoy, Sandwich, Mashpee, Upper Cape, Southeast, and Apponequet. Rockland. Boys track is Brookline, St. John's of Shrewsbury. Boys volleyball is North Quincy, Newton South, Milford, and Dighton, Rehoboth. Girls lacrosse winners were Weymouth, Monomoy, Bishop Feion, Norwood, North Quincy, Mashpee, Hull. Boys rugby was Brookline and Milton. Boys tennis was Brookline, Weston, Hingham, and Situate. Girls softball winners from Friday night were Brookline, Braintree, Lincoln, Sudbury, Needham, Bourne, Nauset, Monomoy, Cardinal Spellman, Attleboro, Franklin, Taunton, Norfolk Aggie, Plymouth North Seekonk, Grand New Bedford Volk, and finishing up with girls tennis, Martha's Vineyard, St. John's Paul II, Bourne, and Franklin. Woo! And those are just your winners with no scores. Oh, boy. So we'll get right back into questions. And I know you're ready to go there, KC.
Yes. So my next question is for you guys. What were your pregame rituals?
So we have a lot of them. The main one I would have to say that is probably my favorite is we get in a circle. I don't know if I can say this. We get into a circle and we dance to Juju on That Beat.
I have no idea what that is.
It's like a, when did it come out? It's like a dance that came out maybe like 5 years ago. And we just all hold hands and we dance to the song like our hearts out, which is crazy. We always have to be in a like room where no one can see us because it's a little intimidating.
Oh,
You don't do it before they announce the starters?
No, we do it like in the back gym, like if we're home or like in a different classroom.
Yeah.
do you do it in the away team locker rooms or no?
If we have to, normally what we do is in between the games we go into the back gym and we do it in there. So yeah.
Yeah, Dom, it's pretty aggressive dancing.
I guess. Coach Holbrook's face was awesome. I almost started crying. But they saw that on TV, though. They got the point. Okay, young lady, I'm sorry.
My favorite tradition before is probably doing our lactic acid thing. We lay on our backs up against the wall and like have our like legs like go up. And we just like hit the wall or the pads or whatever it is or the lockers wherever we are like really hard, and we start doing this like chant. It's like 1, we are the Tigers, 2, a little bit louder, 3, I still can hear you, 4, more, and we do that like 3 times, and then we say like 1, 2, 3 together, and then we all push ourselves off the wall like as hard as we can, and we do like somersaults off of it, and then we like have a designated person to like pat each other off on the back, and that one's just like a lot of fun. Yeah, there's usually a lot of dust on our backs. That one's a lot of fun and really gets us hyped up.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
We also do the chant before we go out to like actually warm up and stuff. We go into a circle and do the same chant and like jump at the end and then go into our like warm-ups too.
So they're state champions and they're very creative coaches.
Very good. And very gifted and talented in other aspects.
We're great singers too.
Yeah, they can sing.
Especially on the bus.
Exactly.
Okay, young man, what do you got?
Okay, my next question is, would you say that basketball runs in your family and blood?
Do you want me to go first? I'd say just in the recent generations, yes, because me and my brother both played basketball for Oliver Ames. He played last year as a senior, and he was pretty successful. We were very similar players, too, because we were kind of, like, everywhere. We didn't really play in one spot necessarily, but my mom and dad definitely were not basketball stars at all. They tried. My dad tried. He tried, but...
Was it a height restriction? What was the problem? He just couldn't get into the game?
No, he just didn't do it when he was younger. He was a hockey guy.
Gotcha.
He would help me like warm up and stuff before games, but like if I was trying to practice boxing out and he would shoot, it'd just go nowhere near the hoop. But he tried.
Yeah.
So for me, obviously, as I said before, my mom played for Coach Holbrook, so that was obviously like always a big deal for me. None of my other family members really played basketball, but I'm the only girl. I have 3 brothers, so it was kind of, basketball was always kind of me and my mom's thing. My mom coached all of my rec teams and my travel teams, and so like she had a special connection with the senior class this year because she coached all of us, so that was really nice. I've always had that connection since I was younger.
That is so cool. You get bragging rights on your 3 brothers that they can never take away from you. And I know Luce had a quick question.
Yeah, I want to hear more about the last game, the championship game. I know there was a lot of defense, a lot of rebounds, a lot of free throws. Elaborate on that. I know,
like mindset and
let's
stuff,
see,
yeah.
Jasmine Cooper, 22 points, 10 rebounds. Sarah Hilliard, 15 points, 3 assists, 3 blocks, 3 steals. I mean, it just seemed to come along between the third and fourth, you know?
Well, I think what happened, is like because for much of the season we were missing people. I think when they got their chance to actually play, they valued those moments, and they were just extraordinary in terms of how hard they worked, how focused they were. And I mean, the bottom line is I was very fortunate because I had a lot of really gifted athletes, and that wasn't by accident that those numbers that you just read. I would say, too, that the majority of my players this year, their focus was basketball. It was the sport that they probably invested the most time in. In the off season as well, because they all worked really hard to make themselves better. And I think we were just very fortunate that the collection of young ladies that played together on this team, they really worked at their craft.
Now, I understand you have 7 seniors going out.
Yeah.
Wow. What does that mean, Coach, as far as next year and the sophomores?
Well, I've retired.
She's gone.
I retired. So.
Someone else's problem now.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just a question. I think we'll see what happens. I know there's a lot of good young kids coming up. Easton is a basketball community and has been for as long as I can remember. When you walk into the Oliver Ames High School gym and you look at the banners, both for the boys and the girls, you recognize that it is a very special place. I always look at it, I call it basketball heaven.
That's great.
I don't know if we can do a quick shout out before we get up there, but I don't know if you girls saw our Twitter page where we nominated one of your fellow players, Caroline Pepper. She won Coach of the Year, Player of the Year. You won, obviously, Coach of the Year last year, which I still hope you shine in your plaque every time you see it.
I do.
And then you'll be there at the award ceremony on the 23rd. Just want to get that out there before you go away. Audrey's Restaurant, 6 o'clock. Of course, you'll be with Caroline and the other recipients, which I think is better than bringing them in and telling you, I hate doing it when you do that. And someone has to stand, the other 3 have to watch it. That's why we did it the way we did. So we're trying to expand. But we do got to step away, girls, again, for the radio station and from all of us at 4 Deep Sports. What a great season. Congratulations. That's such a big... And, Coach, I wish you all the best. I hope you take up on my offer, so people that are listening and watching that I offered Coach Holbrook if she could become part of the committee, girls and boys, to help us nominate next year's winner. Try to keep you out of trouble, like you said. So, for Joe Dez, Lucy Cabral, Justin Ferreira, a.k.a. Justin Ferreira, a.k.a. the Sports Master. I'm sorry, Jay. Catherine Conley on the board, a.k.a. Casey. I'm Dominic Damiano. We hope you enjoyed this, our 4 Deep Sports Talk. Again, we had the distinct privilege of highlighting this Division II Massachusetts State champions from Oliver Ames High School, the Lady Tigers. We will catch you next time. Everyone have a fantastic weekend.